entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Ed Keiser.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I really love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning, charts our trajectory in life, our little habits we pick up along the way, follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about you when you were a child, your childhood. What was that like? And how did you kind of find your way into music?
Sure. I mean, my life is kind of marked with a lot of different discontinuities. And again, pardon me a little bit for my voice. I'm recovering from the flu here, but hopefully it can come across okay. But if I go way back, my mom was very much an Italian, 100%. My father was German descent. So two kind of, very different influences on me. Mom was very passionate leader, outspoken, very vivacious, and also very personable. My dad, very reserved, very kind of calm, kind of quiet, technically very proficient engineer. This was his profession. So, the mixture of those two things kind of stuck with me, I guess, over time. And I've kind of, over the time, flipped back and forth between those. So part of that is the music part, the passionate part. Other parts of it is other ways where my career has sort of led me over time. And as you can see, I'm not 21, right? So I've got a few years under my belt here. I mean, let's be honest, right? So, but my really early stages started with tap dancing.
Oh, cool.
So when I was about 5 or so, they ran me into these, I don't know where that came from, but they brought me into this tap dancing studio and I learned to tap dance. And, it's pretty cool because, and I still remember it, I was like 5 years old or so. And
Wow.
you kind of pick up the beat like you would on a drum or something, and it's really pretty cool. So I did that, I don't know, a year or so, had a recital and was all, puffed up about it. And it was pretty cool. And then my mom or dad, I don't remember who, came to me and said, well, you want to learn an instrument? And I said, yeah, I want to learn an instrument. And I said, well, which one? And I said, harmonica. And they said, harmonica? Like what? I said, like that wasn't, worthy of learning harmonica to them, right? So I said, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with that? And they said, accordion. That's the closest thing to a harmonica is accordion. And I said, accordion, like what's that? What the heck? And I said, well, it kind of uses wind and it blows through it and makes tones, kind of like a harmonica, only it's better. I said, well, okay, all right, I'll try it, So they hauled me into the lessons for the accordion. And to make a long story short, this was in my elementary years now, right? Elementary school. So like 5, 6, 7, 8 in those basic years. Accordion is a pretty hard instrument to play,
I
mean,
bet.
you got like 120 buttons over here on the full one. You got a full keyboard over here, and you got the bellows in the middle. So you're kind of doing this while you're doing that, right? And if you don't do this, you don't get any of that. So you kind of got to do a lot of different things at the same time simultaneously. So it was good experience for me. But, in those days, accordions weren't too cool. I mean, today you hear it in Billy Joel songs in a lot of different places. Everything's so diverse now. You hear it all over the place. But back then it was like guitar and bass and drums and vocals and like that was it, right? So I was like, nah, I did that for a little while. I said, I want to learn keys. So I started to do some keys on my own. And then I formed a little band. This is still in elementary school. So I got some guys together. We had a drummer. Some guy had some drums. We brought him into the living room. And then I had my keys, and we had a guitar player, and we started playing these kind of pop songs, cover songs at the time. And it was pretty cool for a little kid to do that. And the neighborhood started crowding around and stuff, and the girls came, which was great. Even then I was like, wow, I like this. So then, but then I don't know, my interest faded in music, and I got interested in motorcycles. So I started to, this was again as a little kid, right? We started to put like lawnmower engines on bicycles. And we started running around the neighborhood with these lawnmower engines on bicycles because we couldn't afford to buy anything. And plus, we were too young. All kinds of stories attached to that. But eventually, kind of migrated into dirt bikes and then street bikes, which I'm still riding to this day. But then I went to high school, started to get a little bit more serious about other things like my education, how am I going to support myself, and those sorts of things. So I got more of a, I wouldn't say realistic because that's not the right term, but I got more of a practical aspect kind of came to the forefront of my brain. Yet I was still I still had kind of the creative in the back of my mind. So I started studying academics a lot. And again, to make a long story short, I pursued that in undergraduate degree, and I was going to become an academic. But then all of a sudden I said, this sounds crazy now, but at the time it seemed reasonable. I said, if I want to be a better person, I got to do something completely opposite of what I like. And I was like, and I thinking, what was I thinking then, So I did a complete 180. Instead of doing academics, like to become a professor or something like that, I decided to go into business and to go to an MBA route, and all of my academic friends hated me. They were like, you want to do what? Like, that's like low life, like, forget it. You don't want to do that, And I was like, yeah, I want to do that, And then, so then I got into a very good school because my grades were very good because I was pursuing the other route. And at that time, the business schools were looking for a little more diversity in not only people, but also in backgrounds too. So I had a social science background, but I didn't know a debit from a credit. I didn't know what the hell. I mean, I took some economic classes and I liked them, but I didn't know anything about accounting. So I'm thrown into this, elite business school. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? I don't know what I'm doing, so I had to really buckle down. Again, like a long story short, finished that, did well, got out, got a good job, quote unquote, made some money. Decades passed, and I became eventually financially independent about 10 years ago or so. So I said, okay, I still want to do that creative side. I want to do something that, in the areas I worked in finance, and then I moved over to technology. Those are the areas that I worked in business, and they were pretty intellectually demanding. I mean, both sides of those things, but it still wasn't the same. I mean, it wasn't the freedom that you get academically or in music. You have a task, and it has to produce something. It has to produce something, and plus, if you were to create the most amazing thing in a business world, I guess there's some exceptions entrepreneurially, but
Right.
generally, people don't even notice really.
Very
But
true.
in the other world, you can really let it loose. They may not notice either, but at least you have the freedom to do it. So 10 years or so ago, I said, well, I think I want to pursue this other side of my brain for a while and just give it a shot. So then I came across Jamie Hoover. Jamie Hoover is of the Sponge Tones, and he's been around for a long time, and it's just an incredible guy and an incredible multi-instrumentalist, and I mean just amazing person. And so I said, hey, can we have some lessons here? I mean, I knew a few bar chords and stuff from elementary school, but for decades, literally, I didn't pick up a guitar. So I said, I want to learn guitar, Jamie. Can you help me? He said, yeah, we'll give you some lessons, And I said, okay. So I started taking lessons, and I said, crap, this is really hard. This is. this is really hard to, I said, it's really difficult to do this. So then I started thinking, I started playing around in GarageBand and I started composing. So I said, well, this is pretty cool. Got some pretty powerful tools here, just in this simple program. So I started creating songs. And then one day I kind of played a little hooky on my homework from my lesson with Jamie. And I got so wrapped up in making a song, I felt a little embarrassed. I said, Jamie, I didn't practice, but why don't you listen to this song? And he listened to it. I said, hey, this is pretty good. I said, oh, really? So he kind of encouraged me. And I began to think, I can practice guitar for the next 3, 4, 5 years and probably get pretty good. Or there's something inside of me that just likes composing. I just kind of have a
Right.
knack for it. I just naturally, flowed to it, and I just love it. So why don't I do that instead? So I started to focus more on that. And I was like, every couple of days, I was cranking out another song. And these were all off the record, just
That's
things I was
awesome.
doing, on a simple program. But I was like, I was loving it. I was like, it's a lot of fun. I was just enjoying it. It was just sounds that sounded pretty cool. No vocals or anything. It was purely instrumental. So then I said, well, if I really want to do something with this, I gotta take it to the next level. And that's when I got Logic Pro. Oh my God. So I took a look at Logic Pro. It was like going from a Model T to a rocket ship. I said,
Right,
what in
right.
the hell is this thing? It's
But
like,
you did it though. That's pretty awesome.
yeah. And I said, this is going to take me a while to figure this thing out. So, but I had a technology background. I had a finance background. I was not a newbie into learning technology and stuff. So, I mean, I wasn't a programmer, but I managed, large efforts, and I was very familiar with technology. So I just dove into it. And, it took a while. And then all of a sudden, my life was shattered, completely shattered. It was enormous trauma happened to my wife and I
So
that,
sorry.
oh, it was horrible. And my kind of varied but orderly life was destroyed. I mean, it was terrible. But I had begun to learn a little bit about composing, a little bit, and I had gotten maybe a year or so into Logic Pro. It takes a few years. It took me because I was self-taught, to really start to learn the tools. So I was feeling like so distraught that I just started to do some guitar chords. And in this case, I was actually doing it through Logic Pro. I wasn't even doing it on a physical instrument. And I had at that point got pretty proficient at MIDI and all kinds of things. And I still
Yeah.
could play some keyboards. I still remembered the keyboards I used to play decades ago, actually. More on my right hand than my left hand, because the right hand was the accordion, left hand was the buttons. So, but still, that was enough. It was good enough. And you can layer things and whatnot, right? So I started to do that stuff, and I came up with this chord progression that was what I was feeling. And I said, I kind of like this. I kind of like the way this is sounding. This is the way I'm feeling from the heart. And I said, I want to put some lyrics on this just for the heck of it. So while I was doing this, it was therapy for me.
That's
You know,
good.
it,
I
it
love
was
that you
it
did
was
that.
helping me go through these feelings that I was starting to express through the
Yeah.
music genuinely, and it was starting to come out of me. The chords came really quick. The chords came in a matter of hours or days or something like that. The lyrics also came pretty quick for Foreign Land in this case. Foreign Land actually came before You Are Not Alone, the only two songs that I've published so far.
Okay.
But there's a little story there too that I'll mention later why they're reversed. But
Yeah.
so yeah, there's a reason for that. So anyway, so then I got started to get into the lyrics, and as I got into the lyrics, they were exactly what I was feeling, and I wanted to write it to help not only me, but my partner, because she was
Mm,
going through the devastation that I was going through.
yeah.
So I started to create this quasi fantasy land rooted in reality. And that's where those lyrics come from. It's a story. It's a story with a real life overlay for a discussion between myself and my partner. So it's like the first verse, come my love and hold my hand, let me take you to the foreign land. So this is like, you know, there will be no pain or sorrow, only a better tomorrow. So this is like,
Mm,
we're going somewhere else that's out of here.
yeah.
We're leaving this place. I don't know where we're going, but we're leaving here. That's the first sort of the setup in that first lyric, that first verse. Then the second one is like her answering me, her call response, where it goes, yes, my love, where will we go? Will you take us to a place no one knows? Is it real or only an illusion of ourselves? Like, like it's just like, are you kidding? Or are you
Yeah.
really taking me somewhere that's going to help us? Or is this just, yeah, I mean, I feel so lousy. Forget it. This is like not going to help me. It's just fake. You're just trying to make me feel good. That's what this is kind of saying. Like, this is the conversation going back and forth, right? Then the third verse is, yes, my love, it's hard to understand how it's all part of his plan, which is kind of like saying, I don't get this either. I don't know why this horrible thing happened to us. I would have never expected that in our life, but it did. And I don't get it either. But it is what it is. When the pain is so strong, we question, why is the world wrong? I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? I'm not going to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's just like it is what it is. And that's it. But then the last
Mm,
verse has a happy ending, which the other song has a happy ending to too. So in the end, it says it's more like a release. It's more like, yes, we are being led. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't profess that what I feel, other people feel. I'm just telling you what I felt at the time. We are being led. Let's just take it a day at a time. And at some point, just keep the faith, hang in there. At some point we'll get over this and there'll be no pain or fear and there'll be better times coming. That's the end of the song. And then at the very end of the song, it kind of goes to a little piano outro. And that little piano outro is supposed to represent sort of a lift off into, I mean, you could call it spiritual. Again, I don't in any way want to project my feelings on somebody else. My
yeah.
emotions I want to project onto somebody else. We're all human. We all feel emotions. So
Yeah.
that I do want people to feel. But my deeper inner self is me. So it's like, how I reconcile these things is me. But that's sort of like thinking, it's going beyond the pain onto a better place. So
Yeah.
that's how it's sort of like a storyline that ends, sort of on the positive. So that song was was birthed from trauma.
Mm,
It was my
hmm.
way of healing myself
Yeah.
and my wife, at the time, because we were still in the middle of it then. We hadn't come out of it yet. We
Right.
have come out of it now, but we hadn't come out of it at the time.
The time. Yeah. And
So
I love what you said. It was very therapeutic for you. It was very, you were healing yourself in
yes,
that. And I think a lot of times as creatives, it's crazy. Last year for me was I think, worst year of my entire life. It was a
oh boy.
lot of traumatic, devastating things that happened
Okay.
that was in my family. Um,
Yes,
and never thought I would ever have to experience that in my life.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
and you
That's
wonder,
what I
like,
went
why
through.
does this
The same
happen,
exact
right?
thing. Yes, yes. It's
But
like, how is this happening? I never thought this would happen to us, right?
right,
Right,
right.
right.
But I do believe that however devastating life is, I think it's for the ones that do survive, and it happens to us because and this is just me, and I'm curious how you feel about this, to show us what we are capable of and how strong we really are of overcoming, but also to use our our creative, you know, thing that God's given us to share with others, to heal others. Because yeah,
Hope so.
we didn't allow this thing to destroy us. We just decided to keep going and persevere. And what you're doing now and sharing your story with me, with the world, is how we can make the world a better place.
I hope
You
so.
know,
I do hope so because I mean, I'm not doing this. I don't have to do this. I'm not doing this for a living,
right,
so
right.
I don't need to earn anything from this. That's not the thing here. It helped me, it helped my wife. I hope it helps others. I
Yeah,
hope it is a sign of hope if they listen to it, that it does, touch some other people, and help them and just give them, say, it's gonna get better. Hang in there. Just,
yeah,
hang in there. And as you had said too, I mean, that event changed me. Now,
yeah.
when I say is it better that I went through it? I don't know. I don't know if I would say that. I don't know if I go that far, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say it's made me a different person for sure. Now, was that
Mm,
the best thing? Maybe it was. But I'm not going to question it. I know that it has changed my opinions about a lot of things for sure. Just because when you experience something, you feel differently than just sort of mechanically thinking about it. When you actually go through it, oh, now I really get it. Now I really understand when people go through these things, what the ramifications are, as opposed to, well, yeah, yeah, okay, I got it. I understand. I mean, it's just different. So I've become a different person. Hopefully better. I don't know. Was it the right thing? I don't know. Was it, would I have been better not getting? I don't know. I really have no clue. But so, and the other song was also kind of born out of that too. If you want to segue to that one, if that's okay, or if
yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah. Please do.
so we're before I say that, let me just say that I published Foreign Land first, and then I mean, there's a whole long story about how I produced it. I mean, I could talk forever about that, but that's a whole nother thing. But I published it first, and then after I published it, I wasn't as expert at Logic Pro then as I am now. I feel that I'm at a pro level now with it. So I took it down. So it was up there and I took it down and I just republished it today after I remixed it and remastered it. Still produced the same, still has all the same elements, still the same all the people involved in it, which I've just been so blessed to work with. It's just like a miracle, the people that I work with this thing, that, maybe we have a little segue on that. Some of them I can disclose, some of them I can't. Some of them are very well known, which I can't publicly talk about, but I could send you a little text message on it if you're curious.
Yeah, I
But
love to.
so I'll kind of shoot that to you privately. But that's the agreement, that we have. But some I can talk about, like Jamie. But for You Are Not Alone, it was a similar situation where we had a health issue that was going on, which for privacy reasons, I won't get into in detail, that kind of prevented the closeness between us, my spouse and I. And I was feeling like super alone, very, very alone, as the song is entitled. And I was wrestling with it myself again, same process. Chords started first, melody came second, lyrics started flowing, chords came pretty quick, a few hours, melody came pretty quick. Lyrics took a little bit longer. But as I started thinking about the lyrics, again, more of the therapeutic stuff came out. So the chords are sort of from the heart, what I'm feeling. The lyrics come more from maybe the soul, deeper, much deeper. Like what does this mean to me? So You Are Not Here All Alone, trying to embrace the unknown. That was me talking to myself, like, I'm trying to deal with this, but I can't handle it. and it's unknown, and I just can't deal with this. I can't. It's too much for me, right? That's what that first verse is saying. And I don't know if the second verse came next or if the chorus came next, but something came over me one way or the other. Can allude to it any number of different things, where the chorus says, I'm thinking about my partner in this way. I can see you without light. I can hear you without sound. I can feel you without touch. Oh, how I want you so much. So those words flowed for me in the chorus, that the physical things are not everything. There's a lot more here than that. And that's where those words came from. And then that kind of flowed into the second verse, which was, look at what we do not see, for what is unseen ever will be. Because if you look at only what is seen, it's physical, and it's gonna go away, one way or the other. But if you focus on what is unseen, which sort of ties to the chorus as well, if you focus on the unseen things, you could call it spiritual, whatever you want to call it. I mean, for each, it's their own, but it's not focusing on what's physically right with you in your normal senses. It's those other dimensions focus on for a minute, and those are forever. Those don't end, where the other things do. So that's the second verse. And then the third verse was, quite honestly, reminiscing about the past and our good times and thinking about the future. So it was, again, kind of like the last verse and the last one. I was letting go of the trouble.
Right.
And I was saying, okay, I remember when we watched that sunset until the next day, and we watched the moon rise until dawn, let's watch the moon and stars tonight, hold me till the dawn's pure light. And I can remember sitting, in the college room there and watching it with you, and how beautiful it was, and how it just felt right when we held each other tight. And it's going to get better. We're going to return to those times. Those are the times we had before, and it's going to get better. And that's kind of how the song ends. And at the very end of the song, there's a lot of ad libs, and those ad libs are purposely in there too. When I did those ad libs, I was thinking about the two of us as lovers frolicking through Yosemite Park, Yosemite Meadows, just sort
Aww.
of, and maybe unclothed as well, but just sort of freely running through the meadow, like without a care in the world. That was the image I had in my mind when I was doing those ad libs through there, right? So they both end happy. They both end positive. And when I was writing this and going through this, I felt that it changed my perception of what I was thinking. I started, oh my God, I can't handle this. This is unknown. What am I going to do? And then I progressed, and it changed my thinking. It actually changed the way I was feeling. And I wanted to capture that in the song, in both songs, not only the interplay, but the progression of it. And to leave it on a positive note, that we're all human, we all go through trouble, for sure. Do you know that, I looked this up, 75% of the international population goes through trauma. Did you know
Wow.
that? 75%. And in the United States, instances of repeated trauma is more frequent than almost all other countries.
Wow.
So it's like, 3 out of 4 people go through trauma in their life. So I'm like, well, I'm not alone in this. Maybe this can help a few people. If they see what what I've been through in these different areas, because I was like surprised. I thought it would be maybe 20% or 30% or something like 75%, and that's worldwide.
Oh yeah.
It's across the board. So I was like, wow. So that's kind of the genesis of all this stuff. But
Yeah.
the creation of it was the easy part. The hard part was producing it.
Right. That part.
So
But you got it out there. And I feel like that right there is, I think, 100% like, well, a big part of the job, is once you have it produced is, getting it out there and on the platforms for people to find and to engage in. So kudos to you for like doing the hard work and now seeing like, okay, where it can go.
thank you, thank you. I appreciate so much being here and talking with you. And you know, I think we, maybe been through similar emotional experiences, if not the same experiences. Yeah. So it's like I, I get it. And when I first did these, I did a little demo with a scratch vocal for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it started. Just guitar and my singing, which isn't the greatest, right? So it was kind of like playing guitar. I figured um, I could really work on my vocals a lot and try to refine them, and it might take a long time to do that, or I can bring others on board. So I decided, at least for these songs, and maybe in the future it'll be a little bit different, that I was going to bring others on board. So one of those I brought was Jamie, and his vocals are prominent throughout these two songs, as is some of his other work. So, for example, on the guitar, I have my guitar in there, but then he fills out the guitar with his beautiful, beautiful playing. And then I was looking for a female vocalist on these songs, and I found one who I'm not, at liberties to say at this point, but publicly at least, but I can tell you, again privately. But because they said it was okay to tell your friends, and you're my friend, so uh, I wasn't sure at first because she was just like unbelievable, but she was like a metal singer, right? She was metal, and I was thinking, no, these are really not metal songs. I don't know if this is going to work, I was kind of wondering, but she was just unbelievably amazing, just amazing. And and I'm a little bit older, and she's in her 20s, right? So I was a newbie and she was a pro, right? And I learned a lot from her. Oh my goodness. When I first did the song, it was like, you want me to do ad libs in here? I said, well, like, what's an ad lib? I mean, I was starting from ground
You're like,
zero,
wait,
right?
what's that? Yeah.
I was starting from ground zero. So she kind of took me a little under her wing, and I learned a lot from her. And then Jamie, of course, is a pro. And then she's in UK actually. And then I brought in some other folks for Foreign Land. Another gentleman who is actually in the Middle East. So Jamie's influence is more Beatleish, sort of pop rock, early Beatles stuff. That was sort of his, bias, so to speak, and really, really nice on harmonies and things. And the gal was, as I mentioned, and then I found this sort of R&B pianist, jazz player, who I thought was, oh, this guy's maybe he can, really, really do some cool stuff. So I did the piano solo on the outro myself, but then I said,
Nice.
I wonder what he can do to it. So I took it, shipped it off to him, shipped it out to him, and he did his own spin on it. I got to make a long story short. I was pretty good at Logic Pro at that point, so I
Nice.
had modified it even further. And the final output is sort of a combination of what he did and what I did. And that's what you see in the final print.
Awesome. I really like that you like you put this amazing group together. Like they say, it takes a village to create a project to get it out. Um, and I'm curious with all this that you put together, did you like, getting all these people together, and you said you learned a lot.
Yes.
What's one thing that you want people, listeners, to when they listen to this walk away with? And what's your goal with this particular song? Like in the future, like these songs that you produced?
Well, I my hope is that it gives them some hope. That's
Yeah,
sort of the bottom line.
yeah,
And we all go through very, very difficult things sometime in our life, to a greater or lesser extent. And sometimes it seems like either they're never going to end or there's no hope or that sort of thing. But, and not to question things too much as well, perhaps. Things happen. We live in an imperfect world. We live in a beautiful world, but it's imperfect. And we just have to keep the faith that if we hang in there, it will inevitably get better. It
yeah,
will. We don't know when, and sometimes it's really hard to wait because sometimes we say, well, when is this going to turn around, or when am I going to feel better? But
yeah.
you know, sometimes it just takes a lot of patience and with things. Uh, the other thing is that the earnings from this song, obviously, Spotify, YouTube. I mean, obviously, the earnings from that are not huge, but all of those earnings are donated to support and feed, as well as to Feeding America.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, 100% of them, by the way, and I've already donated the earnings that I've received so far from the other from You Are Not Alone, which had a fairly good following so far.
Nice.
But it's really sad to see that 1 in 7 Americans are food insecure. That's like 47 million people.
It's a lot.
So I hope it maybe gives that a little bit of visibility too. I try to give that a little exposure also, and to realize that there are a lot of people that are still very much in need out there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's sort of my hope, is that it provides some hope to those. Yeah.
Absolutely. When you think about a future EP or an album, what themes or experiences do you want, or do you feel drawn to explore next?
Well, so far, it's the two songs. It's only been the two. I just love this interplay between partners. I
Yeah.
don't know. For some reason, it just rings a chord with me. Now, will that be the case next time? I'm not completely sure. I mean, it kind of how I feel at the time, because I am not the kind of person who can just sort of create something without something motivating it.
Right,
So, I mean, these were experiences that I had that came out. So,
right.
what's the next experience? I don't know. Is it going to be hopefully not something bad? Hopefully something
Right.
good. But, will it be a singular joint? I don't know. But I kind of like this, call response type thing. So maybe another one will be that way. Although my background is more rock and roll, and these are kind of, vintage, softer pop type songs. But, I kind of grew up with hard rock. But I don't know. I don't see myself at this stage doing hard rock any longer. I don't think it suits me at this point,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe a younger me, but and I thank Phineas for that, because he's sort of a youngster who sort of recreated softer pop rock just out of nowhere. It was almost like before him, nobody was paying attention to sort of softer pop rock, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
became popular. I think, wow, so he's sort of, we're kind of, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to him, please, but, but his sort of music is softer. It's not like your typical heavy duty rock, rap, whatever song. It's just
Yeah,
softer rock. It's just the way he does
yeah.
it. So I think, wow,
That's
that's pretty
awesome.
cool that it's coming back. It seems to me. So
I love that.
long story.
I, I have a fun question for you, and I'm
Yeah,
curious of your answer with this
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Um, if you could perform with any, living legend or even dead,
Yeah.
um, who would it be and why?
Well, I'll change that question just a little bit if I could.
Okay,
Say, who could I work with?
sure.
So I don't think my I don't feel competent enough yet to really perform. I can do things in the studio. I
Yeah.
can take it to another level. I feel confident about that. Whether I can do anything live and actually perform, I don't know. But this whole kind of male female interplay thing. If I had to pick somebody, it might be Ash.
Okay, that's a good one. It's a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one.
because I really love the way she harmonizes with Phineas, and her voice is just beautiful
Yeah.
and very expressive. And I think, oh my goodness, that would be really wonderful to kind of write a song with her,
That'd be
produce
awesome.
something kind of like I did with the other gal. And I think it would be a nice compliment there to do it. And as far as producing, though, rather than performing, maybe Phineas. I mean, I really
Hey.
admire his skills in, especially in a performer, of course, too. But I mean, if I had to pick a producer, it would probably be him. As far as producing, I mean, he's just so creative, and I mean, just like off the scale. Everything he touches, like, just becomes amazing. Whether it's
Yeah.
Bowie or Ash or whomever, just the mind is just incredible. So I'd like to it would be wonderful to learn from him.
That's awesome.
Let
That's,
me
that's
let
a
me
great,
text you.
great
This won't
answer.
show on the video, right?
No, no, I don't think so. No, it shouldn't.
So
Um,
um,
um, I have another fun question for you, and I'm curious of your answer. And I love asking this question, and I promise there is no wrong answer. But the three levels of influence: money, power, or respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
of course, respect, but I would choose maybe none of those, really. I mean, I'm not in this for the money. Um, Even the respect, I mean, I hope it helps people. That's where I would go with it. I hope it's a help to people. And I mean, kind of, yeah, I hope they respect the work that I did. I hope they like the work that I did, but um, that's not really what I'm after here. You know,
Yeah.
there was two things really. Three things, I guess. One was to help myself, quite honestly, because I was in
Hmm.
trouble, and it was therapeutic for me while I was doing it. Secondly, to help the one I love the most, my partner, right? And thirdly, I hope it helps others because it helped the two of us. So if it does a little bit of that, I'm happy. And I
I
don't
love
care if
that.
whatever else happens, that's it.
That's beautiful. Um, where can people find you on social media to follow everything you have coming up and what you have right now? Um, yeah, where can people find you?
Well, on Spotify. It comes, it's the latest song, Foreign Land, is live today. You Are Not Alone is there as
Awesome.
well. Just those two songs. I do have the piano solo there.
Okay.
That's not necessarily, something that everybody would love, but quite honestly, for You Are Not Alone, I didn't do the piano on that. I gave it to Ori, my friend in the Middle East. And oh my God, when I first heard what he did, I cried. And I said, "This is so beautiful, Ori, what you've done to my song." I mean, I gave him the guitar and everything else, and I gave him, the basic demo of it. And I said, create a piano overlay to this. And I have his sort of ear candy in the song, but it was so beautiful. I said, I got to publish this on a solo basis because
Yeah.
it's so pretty. So, that's out there too. But
Awesome.
that was kind of, something that just occurred to me. But I'm also on YouTube. I just started TikTok as well.
Awesome.
Uh, TikTok's been a little bit weird because I started to publish my song and they said, this song is copyrighted. I said, I know it's copyrighted. I copyrighted it. And I
Right,
said,
right, it's me.
I said, it's mine. It's my song. What do you mean I can't publish it? Finally, I think we got through that, unless they take it down.
Good,
So they're my
good,
songs.
good.
So on TikTok, and also I have a little thing on Instagram, not much there. So I'm kind of all over the place, but YouTube is the primary, and I've got pretty good, amount from foreign land, and You're Not Alone on there.
Awesome.
Got some, but it's building, so pretty much everywhere. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, congratulations and thank you so much for sharing your gift with the world, and in such a weird and crazy time that we're living in right now. I think it's so important. So thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you ever so much for having me. And
Absolutely.
these are crazy times. And
Indeed.
I hope this might be of some help, possibly. I don't know. But
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.